Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? With each good afternoon, it's going to get more exciting, right? It is a real pleasure to be with you here today. It's my great pride to represent Sutter Health, but also to come to you as a very proud resident of the East Bay. I moved here about a year ago, fell in love with it, and can't imagine being anywhere else. One of Sutter's greatest strengths is the partnerships that we share with communities, which is why we are so committed with you to the work that you're doing to advance the East Bay. We want to thank the East Bay EDA for the partnership that they have with so many different industries and politicians and elected officials. It's a real honor to be in the room with you today. At Sutter, our goal at East Bay is our goal is simple, to better meet the region's healthcare needs by advancing a seamless and integrated care experience, basically making sure that when you need to see a doctor, you can get in to see a doctor close to home and get the care that you need. Building on Sutter's 120-year legacy of caring for Northern Californians, earlier this year, you might remember we announced a transformational plan to invest more than $1 billion to expand access to high-quality care across the East Bay. A cornerstone of this plan is a new flagship campus here in the city of Emeryville, which will feature a state-of-the-art ambulatory care complex offering a wide range of specialty services, and we expect to see our first patients in that center in the year 2028, so not too far away. It will serve as a regional destination for advanced care in neuroscience, orthopedics, women's health, primary care, urgent care, imaging, and more. And then we will also be building a 335,000 square foot hospital medical center campus that will provide labor and delivery, neonatal ICU, adult ICU, emergency services, operating rooms, and everybody's favorite, private patient rooms. We're also focused on recruiting more doctors, making it easier for patients to get appointments and referrals, and strengthening our healthcare workforce throughout programs and partnerships. We are very excited to create an integrated regional hub that delivers outstanding care, all within a very short drive of where we live and work and play. And now it's my privilege to introduce Caroline Winnett, Executive Director of Berkeley Skydeck, UC Berkeley's flagship startup accelerator. She led the creation of a $90 million Berkeley Skydeck Fund, a groundbreaking model that shares half of fund profits with the university. A serial entrepreneur, she co-founded NeuroFocus, the leader in neuromarketing, acquired by Nielsen. Caroline is a frequent speaker on innovation, entrepreneurship, and consumer neuroscience, and has been recognized with the Forbes 50 Over 50 and Bay Area Power 100 awards. She holds an MBA from Berkeley Haas and a violin performance degree from Indiana University. Please join me in welcoming Caroline.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you. Please hold on to my medical records, etc. Let's move this. Yeah. I like to roam freely as I talk, like a wild animal. This is an amazing group. Welcome, everybody. I just met people from Georgia, from Mexico, from Japan, from what other countries do we have here? Shout out. Let's hear. Peru. Indonesia. Philippines. China. What? Netherlands. UK. The UK. Very nice. Any other countries? Yes. Belgium. France. Bonjour, monsieur. Finland. Yeah, founder here. Norway. Awesome. Ukraine. We have Eastern Europe, we have Western Europe, we have North America, South America. Anybody from Canada? Who's in the back there? Nigeria. All right, we got Africa. Fantastic. You've come to the world's greatest place. I am a Berkeley native. I grew up here. Yes? Excuse me, I'm just gonna pull this thing over here. Yeah. There we go. I'm as native as you can get. I'm actually a third-generation Californian on both sides. Both both parents, grew up in Berkeley, Berkeley Public Schools, went away for a few minor excursions to the East Coast and the Midwest, upstate New York. Anybody live there? The weather's horrible, but it's pretty cool. Always meaning to come back here because I absolutely love it here. This is my home, and I would say by any objective judgment, the East Bay is the best place in the world, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. So what am I going to do today in 20 minutes? And can someone ping me when I have 5 minutes left, because there's going to be interactive time. And I'm expecting 5 minutes. Okay, how much time do I have now? 17, okay. I'll zip through. I have a list of what we could even do more of, and I want your input. I may call on you. But first we're going to zip through, and I'm going to talk about Berkeley Skydeck, if you haven't heard about Berkeley Skydeck and cool stuff, and how we've expanded internationally. And I'm also going to talk about what I think is, and I think you'd all agree, why the East Bay is the #1 part of the world that you should come to for innovation, for startups, and for just doing amazing things that can make the world a better place. And I have a whole theory about this, and the word is right there. Do you know this expression, culture eats breakfast? Culture eats strategy for lunch, or breakfast, or tea, or whatever. Tea, UK. Because culture is everything, right? So we're going to dive into that. But first, I'm going to go to next slide, please. Let's see. Let's try this again. Okay, I'm pressing the green button. Gentleman in the back, turn something on. There it is. Okay. I'm going to take you back to 1969, the fall of 1969. Grew up in Berkeley, as I said. My parents were very politically active, so instead of taking me to church on the weekends, they took me to peace marches, which was actually a wonderful spiritual education. So one day, my father took me to the Berkeley campus. He had an office just on Bancroft Way, across from the campus, where he had an outdoor book publishing company, Wilderness Press. And we went to see the demonstration, and that's what we saw at first, that image with free speech. And I was a small child, but I could feel the energy. But then it suddenly turned into that picture on the right. The National Guard swooped in incredibly fast and started tear gassing the crowd. Fortunately, my father had been a sprinter in college, so he scooped me up and he sprinted down Bancroft, and we got away from the tear gas. I was only 8 years old, but I knew I was looking at something really important, very, very important. And I knew it was important not just to us in the community, but it was important to the whole world. And indeed, we all know, the birth of free speech, the birth of a deeply held belief that we can change the world and make it a better place, arguably started here in the East Bay, right? And it is to this day the value of Berkeley, the value of the East Bay, and one of the reasons why I so cherish where we live. And I cherish all of you for continuing that incredible value to make the world a better place. At the same time, while this was going on, the stirrings of another great movement were happening in the original location of Silicon Valley, of course, right? The investment in the research, we all know the story of the HP garage. We know how that kind of came about. And you all know the reason why Silicon Valley started where it started was because there was the most important thing, right? Not talking about the culture, but the most important supply of things that you have to have for a startup ecosystem. And what is that?
Great universities.
Yes, talent. Yeah, and great universities and research labs create talent, attract talent. There's no way Silicon Valley could have happened in Ithaca, New York. Sorry, Cornell, we love you. But there's just not enough people there who do scientific research, technical research, and all of that, right? Plus, the weather's great, right? I think that's not a small thing about Silicon Valley. But that started getting going. And of course, where is Silicon Valley today? It's, if you go to certain places, you know, you type in Wikipedia and ChatGPT will give you confusing accents. Oh, it's like a 10-mile radius around Palo Alto. No. Those of us who work in Silicon Valley culture, no, it's the entire Bay Area. Marin's a little iffy. But love Marin. Anybody from Marin? But it encompasses the whole Bay Area, of course, encompasses the East Bay, right? That's Silicon Valley now. Berkeley Skydeck is now on the Silicon Valley tour. We get requests all the time. So let's jump forward a few years to today. Let me tell you about Skydeck. So I think most of you are familiar with it. But to give you an overview of the cool stuff we're doing, we are UC Berkeley's accelerator. We're run by Berkeley, for Berkeley. I work for the Office of Research at Berkeley. There's often confusion. What's your relationship to Berkeley? We are Berkeley. That is what makes us incredibly unique. And we'll talk a little bit more about why. We're super exclusive. It's hard to get in, which we're very proud of. And again, unusual for a university accelerator. We're open to any founder, anywhere. And we get founders from all over the world, every continent except Antarctica. No penguins yet at Skydeck, but we've had from every country here mentioned that we just heard from today. There's been a founder at Skydeck from your country. Every single one, right? And more. This is what we do. Just a quick overview. I won't dive into this too much. Accelerate, incubate, innovation partner program. That middle thing, that's what we're doing to intentionally bring startups from outside the US who want to come here and learn, right? They don't have to go through the incredibly competitive accelerator process. They can help sponsor our program and come to Skydeck. Our largest partner is JETRO, the Japanese External Trade Association. Watanabe-san, the head of JETRO SF, is here. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's been a great way for us to reach out directly to other governments around the world. So those of you who raised your hand, another country, come talk to me if you're interested in this program. We'd love to tell you more about it. So here's what's really unique. As I mentioned, we're a Berkeley program, right? So when I came to Skydeck 10 years ago now, I said, let's do an accelerator, and you need funding. You need money to accelerate startups. This is changing, but at that time, absolutely impossible. I said, no problem. So I found a really wonderful Cal alum, who was a startup founder himself, brilliant guy, to launch a dedicated venture fund. That is the Berkeley Skydeck Fund. It's a private venture capital fund. There is no university money in there. It's not donor money. It's not grants. It's venture capital from investors who want their money back. That is the key to success for this fund. So what's happened is this incredible public-private partnership where a university and a private venture capital fund have this huge Venn diagram, overlap of incentive. Let's make these companies successful. Because carry share. Carry just means fund profits. You know how all these Silicon Valley investors get the private jets and the yachts? Carry, right? They invest in a company, there's a huge exit. Our fund's early. We haven't had big exits yet, but we will. And when we do, the fund manager will donate half of that fund profits to Berkeley. Imagine how that could power education. And we encourage all universities around the world. We'll show you our agreement with the fund. We're happy to tell you about it. Take advantage of this capability you have to support and nurture startups and partner with venture capital so that you can both share in how that can help you. All right, we've gotten a lot of news. There's my photo again. I actually didn't know they were doing a photo shoot that day, but I'm glad I wore the golden shirt. So the mission at the top, this is really important. We're Berkeley, so we don't want to just be good. We don't want to be great. We want to be the best, the absolute best accelerator, no qualifications, and support UC Berkeley's public education mission with those giant exits, right? I think I have a couple more slides. These two numbers, I think, reflect just how extraordinary our growth has been. So when I first started, batch 1, 55 applications. We were pretty happy at the time. We just closed applications for batch 21, 3,800. We have zero marketing budget. We have no marketing staff. We just simply got the word out. And what made the big difference and really made those applications, which were going up nicely, jump, was we officially opened the accelerator to startups from around the world. We now get over half our applications are from founders who are not based in the US. And over half of the batch of about 20 or so in the accelerator program, they're not from the US. They're from various countries, right? And that's been an incredible way to attract talent. The same way Berkeley attracts talent. The same way our community attracts talent. People want to come here. We do a lot with people who, as being a university, we can attract people who want to help us because of our mission. So we have this extraordinary number of advisors, about 900 of them, who are all volunteer to be advisors to our companies. We pay them $0. If you remember one thing today, actually two things, but the first thing I want you to remember today, does anybody know who Mark Tarpenning is? Have you heard, some people have heard me say this. All right, remember this. Tesla was not founded by Elon Musk. Tesla was founded by this very nice man, Mark, and his friend Eberhard. They founded Tesla. They built the first car. Mark is such a nice guy. He's an advisor at Skydeck, wonderful man. So Tesla was founded by a Berkeley alum, so we can love Tesla for that, right? Yes. So remember that. And then, of course, Janet Napolitano, these are the people who just hang out, hang around Berkeley, and volunteer, like I said, to help our startups. It's incredible. We've hosted 2 of the world's largest hackathons. We didn't host one this summer because we need more staff. Anybody want to host a hackathon? This is actually one of my, we'll talk about it. I'm quite serious about this. We had a huge number of applications. People flew in from Singapore, from Europe, from Asia, to go to the hackathon at UC Berkeley. We were surprised. It was just an extraordinary event. And then we do a lot, of course, that no other accelerator can do. Because we're a Berkeley program, we're right downtown, just a block from campus. Just get down that university block. And we host probably the biggest set of intern fairs for students, I think, of anybody. And they get to meet real startups because our program is huge. We have hundreds of startups in our program at any given time, and all the alums. And so we match about 800 or more students each year. Imagine what kind of a training program that is. We'd love to formalize this, right? We kind of run this with our staff and a few people, and we kind of match them up and say, go have a good time. But there is no other university that is intentionally or has the resources to match startups and students on the scale that we can. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So it's an amazing thing we can do because we're Berkeley, because we're in the East Bay. These are some notable alums who are international. Chris from Armenia, Sky Loom from Argentina, MindsDB, one from, where's Jorge from? I think Argentina, and his co-founder from Adam from UK. You haven't heard of them yet, but I think you will when they have gigantic exits. So let's talk about our international expansion. I mentioned JETRO. We are absolutely thrilled working with JETRO. That's the Japanese External Trade Organization. And we started working with JETRO about 3 years ago. They've become our biggest partner for that. Remember that Innovation Partner Program I mentioned, where organizations can send startups to our program. They don't have to go through the gigantic filter. So JETRO is our largest partner. We've gotten incredible talent from via JETRO. And in fact, that's increased the applications from Japan in general. And we have some very hot startups that are now in the Berkeley Skydeck Fund. They did go through that super, super competitive process, that 1%, to get into the program. And we like Japan so much, I think this is going to be my 8th trip on Monday in the past 3 years. In fact, I went to get my business cards on the way here, and I pulled it out. I'm like, oh, they're the ones in Japanese. So So it's been a wonderful relationship. And again, it wasn't something that required a lot of heavy lifting for us because of the reputation of Berkeley, and we're very happy to say the reputation of the program. But also, people want to come here. They want to come to where we are. It's not just Berkeley and the program. I guarantee you that. They come in and they're like, this is great. I love it here, right? Our other partners, more about Japan. Oh, I'm so glad you brought the book, Adina. Yeah, so you know the expression, so-and-so wrote the book on something? We literally wrote the book at Berkeley. That was a joint effort by all of us in entrepreneurship at Berkeley, and we gave one of the early copies to the Director General Kikukawa of the Japanese Ministry for Economy, Trade, and Industry. He was pretty happy about it. That was in Hokkaido, along with Darren Cook, who's the campus Chief Innovation and Entrepreneurship Officer. We had a great time in Hokkaido. In fact, I think I have some more Hokkaido pictures. Yes, we did some boot camps in Hokkaido. You know where Hokkaido is, right? It's the northernmost island. Stunningly beautiful area, by the way. And met some great talent at Hokkaido University. We also have a partner, the Swedish Energy Agency. We've been working with them. They've been sending startups from Sweden. And so I was invited to give a keynote at Tech Arena, which is one of the largest tech conferences in Europe. It's in February. Okay, I went anyway. It was very nice. And then for a while, we were running a program in Milan, Sky Milano. 5 more minutes, okay. We're now transitioning this to run it here, but we're still partnering with the company. And then Taiwan is also a partner, an international research association. Here they are here because they're having a great time because they got sent here to the East Bay. And that's just beautiful in Hokkaido. I just couldn't resist. It's up near Niseko, the ski area. Just stunning. All right, let's get to, we heard this from Mayor Ishii. There's the numbers. We will never give up that #1 spot, I just want to say. That's more about Berkeley, but I want to get to the conversation. All right. I actually went to ChatGPT and I said, tell me why are we so great? And it actually did a pretty good job, although it left out a few things. But ChatGPT is not always right. But when it's really obvious, it tends to be right. And this is true, right? This is all true. But what I will say, let's go back to what we started talking about at the beginning of this, which was culture. The Silicon Valley original area, right, has an incredible culture. It's copied worldwide. We're often asked, please come and train us in the Silicon Valley way. That's why we go to Hokkaido and go around the world, et cetera. It's an amazing culture. But the culture that we have here in the East Bay, that culture of, can we make the world a better place? Can we do it collectively? Can we think outside the box? That culture is incredibly hard to copy. You can copy research funding, and you can find some venture capitalists, right? And you can set up labs. But you can't copy what we have here, which is the heart that should come to innovation. Let's do a better thing than we've been doing, right? And I think we all know right now the world needs a bit of that. The world needs a bit of that, and we have that here. And I'm so happy to see everybody in this room because I know you have that too. So what can we do so that when people come to Silicon Valley, they're like, I'm going to the East Bay. Should we talk about it? Let's chat a bit. Okay, I think I made a list. Oh, some great people. Wait, am I running out of time? 2 minutes. Okay, do you know who they are? They're great people. Jennifer, Ian, Don, and Stuart. But let's get to culture. I called them culture boosters. What I'd love everybody to do in the last few minutes, look at this list. Which one of those calls out to you that, you know what, I could do this. I could help, right? And some of them are kind of self-evident, right? investing in infrastructure and livable innovation districts. That's our mayors, that's our council members, right? Companies, any companies here? We got companies. I know someone from Bayer, right? We got some, just you? That's the only company. We have some others. Some of the, partnerships, right, with the local region. But that top one, I hope that you start thinking about that. How can we brand the East Bay collectively? The companies here, the universities here, the governments here, the incredible weather here, right? Because it is amazing. How can we collectively brand? Yes?
I'm going to let you take 2 questions because
and then we're running out of time. Okay. Now you've thought about that. Let's try to chat more. Yes, questions?
How can we reach, remotely, how do we reach deeper into the neighborhoods, deeper into the schools, to find the potential for entrepreneurs who don't know they have the potential,
Yeah.
don't know that they have the skills and background, they need more support? How do we reach out to those individuals
Yeah.
to participate, either here or something you can
Yeah.
help us do,
Talent is equally distributed. Opportunity is not. Yeah. Good question. Very good question. An answer right over there. Yes. Would love to hear.
Scientific Adventures for Girls. I am a nonprofit in Berkeley. We work in the East Bay, and we do after-school programs for girls in elementary schools to do just this. We are closing the gender gap of that interest in STEM, the love of STEM, feeling that they have confidence in STEM. We would love your money. But we reach almost 1,000 kids every year, and they come and they work with us every single week. They are with us multiple years. We graduate them into high school. They are now going to college. They started with us as second graders, and they're studying STEM to then come work with all of you when they're adults.
Fantastic. Love it. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. All right. One more question, then I got to run.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot at this. Hi, Rohan Brown, just got here. Executive Director of Innovate Bay, which is an incubator out of Fremont by San Francisco Bay University. Simple question, can we connect and have a conversation? Because I love the idea of a unified innovation ecosystem, especially for the East Bay. We'd love to have a
100%.
conversation.
Yes.
Thank
Winnett at Berkeley. That's my email. .edu. Yes. Yes. Berkeley also has the largest number of venture-backed female founders. This is actually a true statistics from PitchBook, so yes. All right.
Thank you.
I'm getting done. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Keep the ball rolling, and I have the pleasure of introducing our industry panel that's going to come up here. Yeah, that's what I was about to do. So as I'm calling your name and saying a little bit of you, if you don't mind coming on up here, Fabrice Glorier, who's the Global Chief Operating Officer of Amber Kinetics. Fabrice, everybody, Amber Kinetics is an industry leader in manufacturing flywheel energy storage systems, is the only provider of long duration EFS. Amber, you all know what this means. Amber Kinetics extends the duration and efficiency of flywheels from minutes to hours. Where is, come on up. You're gonna. All right. We're also lucky to be joined by Megan Lehotonen, Senior Director, Business Affairs and Strategic Initiatives. Aviva is a global leader in industrial software for energy, infrastructure, manufacturing, and other industries. It offers smart software, cloud infrastructure, data integration, and sustainable results. Aviva joined forces with OSI Soft in San Leandro in 2021. Please also join me in thanking Heike Abeck, Senior Director, Partnering and Development Program Lead at Bayer. I think you all know Bayer, primary biotech site for the development and manufacturing of protein therapeutics. And actually, Jen tells me about this
I'll tell you some more.
That's perfect. All right. Okay. So welcome, Bayer. And last, we have Sam Fahmy President and CEO of Ripcord. Here he is, great title. Ripcord uses robotics and AI to unleash the power of data trapped in documents, where they're paper or digital, structured or unstructured. Ripcord, headquartered in Hayward, is the only intelligent document processing company that ensures paper documents are part of your data set. With that, let me hand things over to our moderator for this section, Darlene Chewy Bryant, Executive Director of Global SF. Thank you. There's a way to get on here with stairs. Oh yeah, go ahead then. Jump on in where you want. And we're turning it all over to you, Darlene. Thank you so much. You want to move this over, right? Just a tad. Okay, here we go. Even better. Here.
I'm so short, it may cover me. You won't see me. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? Thank you so much to East Bay EDA, for Steve and Jacqueline for inviting me and letting me come and moderate this panel. Even though I'm Executive Director of Global SF is not San Francisco. It actually stands for So Future. So there's a reason for me to be here, okay? All right, innovation. Anyway, we're going to start with our first question, and I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself in terms of your title. What do you do at your company? And then we'll start with the Q&A. Sam.
Thank you, Darlene. Sam Fahmy. I run a company called Ripcord. We believe data is the fuel of the modern economy, right? And AI, which everyone's talking about, is the engine. If you don't know, 95% of all documents, like this, sorry, you can have it back. 95% of documents in the world, including, for example, the German archives, they have 8 billion documents. National Archives in the US, 200 billion documents, on and on and on. 95% of documents are not digitized. So there's a massive amount of data trapped in these documents that could be fuel for everything, to provide better healthcare, to build better drugs, to train AI models, better defense systems, better manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. But today there's no way. The process is manual to turn documents into data that could be actionable, that could be used to do all of these wonderful things. We built robots and AI systems to transform any document into data that could be used readily to do any of these great things. So that's what we do.
Great.
Thank you.
I'm Heike. I work at Bayer as a Senior Director in Biopartnering and Development. I'm honored to be here. I normally don't talk about kind of economic development and this sort of stuff because I'm a chemical engineer by training from UC Berkeley. Yay, also local alum. So glad to see fellow UC Berkeley here. I love working in the East Bay, just like most of us say. I work right down the street here at Bayer, and I've been there now for 10 years, and before at other biotechs for almost up to 30 years now, at local biotechs, smaller ones, Novartis, bigger ones, and now at Bayer. And Bayer is amazing. I don't know if you guys know, but we have manufacturing that we do right down the street. Make Factor 8, which is one of the products I worked on, the next generation Factor 8, which is a hemophilia product for basically bleeders. They don't clot their blood, so they need to take our product so that they don't die and they can live a good quality life. So that is the main product we manufacture down the street, but we also are starting to work on some really exciting things in the development pipeline. So we have products that are in phase 2 and 3, monoclonal antibodies that are treating oncology for patients. And then the product you'll hear more about that I'm working on now is a cell therapy product. So some really exciting stuff happening. I don't know what's happening. Some really exciting stuff happening down the street here that we're working on, and honored to be here and talk a little bit about it. And we, of course, work overseas a lot. We have a lot of partner companies. Bayer is a global company, so happy to talk some more about that.
Thanks, Darlene. Well, first I want to say thank you to Stephen, East Bay ADA. It's so wonderful to see a lot of friends in this room. And I'm Megan Latona, and I work for Aviva, which is in San Leandro. Basically our West Coast headquarters, if I could say. OSI Soft was acquired by Aviva in 2021. And OSI Soft, CEO founded by Dr. J. Patrick Kennedy, was in San Leandro for over 40 years and completely committed to the community there and working very closely with local and state governments. It's wonderful to see a bunch of friends in the room that we've been working with for a long time. Aviva, as a global industry software provider and leader, works across industries with Bayer, with power, with water, mining, cross-sector really. And as Senior Director of Business Affairs, I'm focused on government. There's nothing that I can get done without everybody that's in this room. I'm so grateful for the work that you do, the insight that you give us, and the guidance that you give us. And my charter at Aviva is focused on connected ecosystems and really looking to help countries realize their net zero goals by focusing on how they can connect industrial assets. So thank you so much for having me.
Hello. So, you hear me? Energy storage is no longer just about keeping the light on. It's definitely more now about making the grid smarter, cleaner, and more resilient. I'm Fabrice Glorieux. Sorry for the French accent. I was the one from France. And I'm an electronics engineer and with an MBA. I have a 30-year plus of professional experience in Asia, Europe, and now in the US. I love it here, especially in this region, the Bay Area. It's so wonderful. I am pleased, very honored to be with you this afternoon to potentially answer your questions. I'm also pleased to be with my friends and colleagues from some of them from Amber Kinetics, Mandy, Rowan, Ben, and Ravia. Please, here they are. And I'm also honored with the presence of the consul from the Philippines, Neil Ferrer. I don't know where you are. Yeah, you are. And I will explain to you later on why the Philippines is so important to us. Amber Kinetics then specializes in energy storage systems. We design and manufacture and install flywheels. So maybe you are not very familiar about what is a flywheel, but imagine that for a bicycle, then you start spinning the wheel of the bicycle and you start pedaling. So you have stored energy because the wheel will keep turning, right? So, and when you need energy back, you start braking, right? This is exactly what we are doing at Amber Kinetics. Obviously, we don't use bicycle. We use a massive rotor made of high quality steel operating in a vacuum. So we use many different kind of expertises, such as mechanical people coming from with a mechanical engineering background, electronics, electrical, but also software. So yeah, this is why we love it here. We have an incredible pool of talent in the Bay Area, and we'll talk more about that later on, I think.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fabrice.
Thank you.
Should mention, hello, that Amber Kinetics was actually incubated at Skydeck. Hello. Okay.
That's correct.
That is correct.
In 2012, and the company was founded 15 years ago now by Professor Seth Sanders, who was professor at Berkeley University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great.
He's not here today, but yeah.
We have literally a native East Bay child here. That's great. So starting with that, since you incubated here and you stayed in the East Bay, and you can see we have a cross section of sectors, right? We have energy, we have software, biotech, AI, and robotics. So tell us, let's start with you and saying, do you know why you guys stayed in the East Bay, and how great has it been? And the elected officials are going to want to know what they can do to keep you here, what they can do better. So let's start with you, Fabrice.
Well, unfortunately, I was not there when the company was created 15 years ago. Yeah. But what I know is that, as I said, it was created by Professor Seth Sanders from Berkeley University. And I think he found in the Bay Area all the necessary ingredients to start this company, this wonderful company. As I said, there are many talents that are here. all the time. Sorry, maybe it's this one. Anyway, okay. Let's try this one. Yes, now it works. No, as I said, our system requires different expertise. So I think Seth was, when he created the company, he was, finding here in the Bay Area all type of talents. Some of them, I would say a third of them, came from outside of the US. We can talk later on maybe about some difficulties that we had to keep some of the talents on board with us for different reasons. But overall, it was an incredible pool of talent that he found here, and we started from there.
Okay, Megan.
Sure, thank you. I think this perhaps might be the most exciting question for me, because when I joined OSI Soft in 2018, about 8 years ago, I quickly was able to see Pat Kennedy's commitment and passion for the East Bay and for San Leandro specifically. And it was probably the best part of my career, being able to be his chief of staff before we were acquired by Aviva. And that commitment remains, and I think it's a testament to the city of San Leandro, East Bay ADA, and the support that we're given from this community and how we're interactive with this community and with all of the leaders in this room from a government perspective. Pat didn't just build, if you've ever taken BART through San Leandro, you've seen Truth is Beauty, the huge statue that's right there outside of the BART station. He remained completely committed to San Leandro due to the industrial landscape, the power of the community, and Aviva remains committed to East Bay today.
Awesome, thank you.
Is just, I would say, thrilled to be in Berkeley, and they did such a great thing. Like in 1974, over 50 years ago, we just had our 50-year celebration, like 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago. They bought a 46-acre campus, and they're there, and it's just so exciting that we have that space, and we're super happy to be here. We also just signed a 30-year development agreement with the city of Berkeley, which was so exciting to get on the, So lots of work ahead of us and lots of exciting times on how we can work together with the city and just locally. It's great to see. And the campus, I think some of you know, it's just been expanding tremendously. We have 2 new buildings up, one, like I mentioned, for our cell therapy production and one for our monoclonal antibody production. So it's so exciting that we have the space to do that. And the Bay Area, just like we mentioned earlier and heard from Skydeck, it's the place to be. There's 2 hubs in the United States. It's basically the Bay Area and Boston. And Bayer is just thrilled to have this space in Berkeley to be able to work on these things. And it is the place where we get our talent. Like, we have lots of offices and all over the world, Bayer, like in Germany and in Spain and in China. But the talent is really great out here. This is where we get the talent to do our development and work going ahead. And that's why we also have our pipeline. It's so random. We have our pipeline that is getting our pipeline that is getting developed right here. So, and we have talent that we pull in from UC Berkeley and the local universities. We also work with Baker Labs, which is an incubator at the UC Berkeley campus, and it's been super exciting and fun to work with them because these are the small startups, and we have an exchange. We get ideas from them, and they learn from us. A lot of times they come to us and ask us questions more like on how do we manufacture this in the future. So it's really nice to have that exchange locally and have all these opportunities for us to work with these people nearby. So we love being in the East Bay.
Thank you. Look, from a startup perspective, and I've grown up and lived in many places around the world, but there's no place bar none, there's no place bar none, no place even comes close to start a company and build a company than over here. And I'd say over here, Bay Area in general, East Bay, of course, we're based in Hayward, but I live on the other side, our investors on the other side, and for a number of reasons. I'd say 3 main reasons. Of course, the weather. Free speech, I don't know about that. Free speech, first of all, I'm kind of Greek origin, So I think free speech started about 2,000 years ago. But anyhow, we'll give credit to 1965. Okay. So the three kind of main, and by the way, I started my first company in Boston. And when people ask, when I think back, that was about 20, 25 years ago. You know, it ages me. But when people ask, and I think back, what's the one thing that I missed in that startup? What's the one lesson? You know what's the one lesson? Yeah, Boston is a great place, but I was not here. It's such a huge difference. Boston is fantastic, but if you really want to accelerate, you want the best of everything, and there are three main components to that. One is talent. But you know what? Boston, I'd put Boston in here, like head-to-head. Boston at MIT, Harvard, Bentley, so much, right? So, okay, but you have great talent here. What you don't have anywhere in the world are really two things. One is the ecosystem of venture capital and accelerators and incubators, where people are willing to put up millions of dollars, 50, 100, 5, whatever it may be, into investments that have like a 1% chance of succeeding. There are like places, Germany, where it's very difficult to do that. Most places in the world, most states in the US, you don't have that. Uniquely, that ecosystem is so invaluable. No wonder you have, 5 out of the 6 trillion dollar companies are based here. It's not by accident. And the third thing is you have an amazing ecosystem of supply chain. Meaning, for example, when we want to build a prototype robot, it's easier than anywhere else in the world to find the right combination of people who do framing, people who do fabrication, etc., to build that prototype. So there's no place in the world that even comes close to starting a business and building a business than over here.
That's good to hear. So, yay. So the thing is, being here, rooted, anchored here, I know we came from Germany, but still you're here. You still have ties to the rest of the world. So let's talk about what that looks like and how being here has helped you. Let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you. So it's actually, I'll tell a little story. The company was started about 9-10 years ago, and after building the first product, the first prototype, you're looking for what they say the proverbial does the dog hunt, right? So you want to see where that could happen. What happens that the CEO of Japan's largest bank was visiting here, and there's a reason he was visiting here, to check out new technologies, et cetera, et cetera. So long story, our first market, we built this company that's based in California, based in the East Bay in Hayward. Our first 4 or 5 years of actually producing robots, of building the company, happened in Japan. And that was incredibly easy to do from here, because it's very easy for people to come back and forth. There's a great Japan ecosystem here in Silicon Valley. And now we're exploring other geographies, Germany, Singapore, other places around the world, to expand. And again, there's no better place to do it than from here. So that openness, and now we talk. There's a lot of talk about tariffs. There's this. I'll tell you, there's no better time in the world, in kind of my short life, to do business internationally than it is now, because the whole world is leaning more toward open trade and no tariffs, right? So there's a force and function of there's open trade. We're big proponents of open trade. Look across the bay. You have one of the biggest ports in the world where you can bring in products from anywhere in the world freely into this beautiful country. Well, let the whole world be that way. I think wouldn't that be beautiful? Where you can export and import products, no tariffs, low regulations anywhere in the world. So we're big proponents of free trade. I think we're making good strides toward that, we hope. As a startup, sometimes crisis is a good thing, because you hone your mettle, your strength with crisis. So look, there's some crisis going on now in terms of international trade, but I think long term it's going to be a positive.
So we do a lot of international business. We actually sell the product I just talked about earlier in 50 different countries, and we just signed a tender agreement with Mexico. So we're now going to make 50% of our production is probably going to be going to Mexico to treat patients there. So it's great that they can get access to our high quality hemophiliac products in countries like that through government tenders. So it's really exciting for us and also for Mexico to see that our product goes overseas like that. We, of course, also have production sites overseas, and we manufacture our clinical production in Canada with our partnership with Blue Rock. And we also have Virogen in Spain, where we do international production for cell and gene therapy pipeline products at this point. About the no tariffs, it's interesting because a lot of our raw materials is actually coming from the US, and Fisher can probably speak to this much better than I can, but we do have a fair amount of our raw materials and our inputs to our production that are coming from overseas, and we are seeing some tariffs and some increases in tariffs, and we're dealing with that because there's also then, of course, an increase in our cost of goods, right? So that means our final product is more expensive than we would have maybe foreseen if there were no tariffs. So that is definitely one factor that we're dealing with and going forward, and how do we handle our raw materials? Do we want to continue to source them from overseas, or is there other ways to source them? So that's one item we're tackling and working on. But I think with the companies we work on, with our partner companies and intercompany, because Bayer is such a global company, working overseas has only gotten easier, right? We have virtual meetings. We have, it's just so much easier to coordinate and meet and work together and get on the same page. So a lot of that, I think, has made our partnerships and our production in other areas of the world much more simpler to coordinate and work together.
Thank you. Megan, did you want to add any?
Sure, quickly. Just Aviva as an international company, I think it's really important to see. You know, we're headquartered in the UK, and we have global offices all over the world, and to understand and lean on our customers and the robust footprint across sectors. So from power, water, mining, everything within the industrial sector. They're really the ones that give us the pulse and let us know what's coming. And I think that's really important for us here back in California, back in the East Bay. I would also say, you know, the best way to describe Aviva, you know, 99% or 95% of the utilities across this country rely on the PI system developed right here in San Leandro to run their power system, like CalISO monitoring the entire Western grid. And those best practices can be applied internationally so well, and we're really seeing that benefit.
That's cool. And Fabrice, interesting company. You have an interesting background. Let's hear about the international roots.
Well, I think, what's interesting at Amber Kinetics is we are already a global company. So we have 2 R&D centers, one here, the first one that was created here 15 years ago in Union City. And we opened a second one in Australia a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And we have our manufacturing operations in the Philippines, hence the presence also of Consul Nel Ferrer here. We have sales offices in various countries. We have a focus. We have a specific focus in Asia because, well, the first reason is we are in the renewable energy business, and Australia is leading the way. Is getting very, very fast over there. So we have more opportunities in Asia so far. We have suppliers and partners all over the world, but also coming from Japan, and not only as suppliers, but also as R&D suppliers and business partners. We have, for example, recently signed an agreement with Kawasaki Heavy Industries that will provide a virtual synchronous generator that will, with our flywheels and systems, energy storage systems, will make the grid and especially microgrids resilient when it comes to voltage and frequency regulation. I don't want to be too technical here, but that's a wonderful thing, a wonderful partnership with Kawasaki Heavy Industries. We source our steel from Japan, but also from the US. And as I said, manufacturing operations in the Philippines, but we already had, before these tariffs things, we had already in the plan to set up manufacturing operations here in the US. So this tariff thing is just going to speed up a little bit our business plan, hopefully in the next couple of years. We are currently in the process of Series C fundraising, and we are hoping that it will enable us to speed up these operations in the US. So yeah, we are global, and from Asia to and up to here. Yeah.
That's great. So let's talk about talent. I know we touched on it at first, but the thing is that why do you think that, you're continuing to grow here? What do you think, why is that happening? Is it just because we have Skydeck, or is there anything else? I'd love to hear from you guys. Any of you? Megan?
Sure. I mean, I think, look, we have with offices all around the world, and I am located here in the San Leandro office, and there's just a massive, unique talent pool that's here in the East Bay. And at Avivo, as we walk through some of the changes that are happening in the changing landscape, I think the most important thing is we remain committed to an equitable culture, workforce, and investment in early careers, graduate programs, to make sure that we stay as innovative as possible. And we're just so fortunate to be able to pull from the East Bay talent pool.
That's great. Heike?
Yeah, I think definitely talent is a strength, like I said, and I think also diversity. The Bay Area campus is where we have is very diverse. It actually is. I think the European descent employees are like the minority on our campus. So it's wonderful to see, and I think it's key. It's key to have that diversity, because I think, just as was mentioned by earlier, that diversity breeds innovation, right? You cannot get innovation unless you have that diversity in your staff, in your employees. If we all think the same way, we won't innovate, right? We have to have that different thinking, and it doesn't just mean we need college-educated people. We also work closely with biotech partners. They provide community college-level people that, work in our production areas and those sort of things. We need just a diversity of people. And that, thank you. And I think that's what we can get in the Bay Area, right? It's all there. We have college-educated people with PhDs, and we have other people that have gone to community college or no college and are in a union, and they can do the work that we need to manufacture our products. So, thank you. I said something right. I don't know. Yeah, shit, man. Sorry. No. Yeah. So it's wonderful to have that talent. I think the other thing that I'm going to put a little, Rebecca is not at her seat where I just saw her, but she'll thank me for this. We also work at, I heard the lady earlier talk about STEM interns, and I work on a local nonprofit that's supporting youth in working on bikes. I'm an avid biker. And that sort of network and community, you don't find that anywhere, right? Like, yes, okay, we're probably not going to hire a bike mechanic to work at Bayer, but they do come to Bayer and tune our bikes for free, right, when we have events. So that sort of community is, I think, really special to Berkeley, and it's really special to the East Bay, where we have those sort of people. So Waterside Workshops, if you haven't heard about them, they train youth to become successful people in the world as well. They might not be working in biotech, but they'll help you fix your bike.
That's good to know. Gentlemen, Fabrice, you actually came to San Francisco for this job. So what do you think was a huge attraction for you to come here?
Yeah, so obviously the weather. More seriously, of course, I knew this area beforehand. I came here a couple of times, but I made the decision to come over because as soon as you arrive here, you feel surrounded by so many smart people. So it helps you, keep growing and interacting with all these talents and these smart people around you makes hopefully, and I hope makes you smarter. So it's incredible, and I would say also as well that. What I could feel is that for the people who come here from different states in the US, but also from abroad. When you decide to come here, you want to work hard because you want to succeed. That's also something maybe which is different compared to other, places in the world. I come from Europe. I'm not saying that France or Europe they are lazy, but there are some other specificities that I didn't find here. So I like this. I like to see people, they are hungry and they just want to succeed. So it's a fantastic ecosystem. It's a fantastic, overall ambience, I would say.
Thanks. Anything you want to add?
Fabrice, not lazy, but I love the 30-hour work week. No, look, everyone wants to come here, right? Because of the excitement, the startup culture, the weather, everything else. But not everyone can come here. So if we're thinking about, okay, what can we improve? Right? So cost of living, particularly housing, and obviously that's a top priority. I think that's super important. How can we have more affordable housing so people who want to come here, a lot of people want to come here from all over the world and all over the country. So I think, that's one. And secondly is schools. Just continuing to improve schools. We have great universities, but whether it's elementary, middle, or high schools, improve the school system. So I think these are the two key. If we're looking as a startup founder, you're always looking at what can I improve? So we have we're the best place in the world to build a startup, but we want to be better. So more people who want to come here can come here. I think these are two main things.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
So the companies will stay here because your employees will stay here, right? Okay.
Exactly.
So before we ask any more questions or last remarks, I wanted to open it up to the audience to see if there's any good questions coming from the audience.
Thank you so much. From the Consulate General of Peru, we have a question. We have remarked for 3 years we are in the consulate. There is a special element in the culture of Silicon Valley. It's about how you conduct or you have a culture that could reverse some early failure and mistakes. For example, you open the possibility to improve some prototypes and then the innovation system. But it's normal that at the beginning, students and also entrepreneurs make their first mistakes, and then you improve them and you orientate them so they can continue and step forward, so they can improve. How I would like to hear about you, how you foster and to promote them so they can keep continuing to fight and persevere in their innovation, please.
You can answer this question, but the question is, the culture of Silicon Valley is it's okay to fail. So, and you learn on your mistakes. So what are your companies doing to continue to encourage that? Is that what I'm hearing? Yes, I got it. Anybody want to take it on?
I mean,
You're the CEO.
look,
Yes, you can.
look, it's a great point, right? And if people are not making mistakes, especially in the startup culture, if they're not making mistakes, they're not trying hard enough. So we encourage people. If I see around that we're not making mistakes, we're not failing, because for every 100 ideas that fail, you just need one successful one. So this culture, which I think is spreading all over the world, of startup mindset, which is you can make mistakes because for every 10 that fail, there'll be one successful. I think spreading that culture, because it's already here. So spreading it around the world, and as you can see, venture capital firms, startups, the startup kind of idea, which really was based here, you go all over the world now. You go in countries, you go to Romania, Bulgaria, Singapore, Malaysia, and there are startup communities that are popping all over the world. and in South America as well. We were talking to a few startups in Mexico, not Peru yet. We'd love to look at that, but Brazil and Mexico, and amazing startup communities that are starting up. And a big part of that is tolerance for failure, tolerance for mistakes.
Yeah, I think maybe a quick comment. We thrive on continuous improvement, especially in the biotech industry. So we want to improve our products as we go along. But maybe I think you're asking more on the startup. If you have a startup company that fails, how do you, pick yourself up the floor and do another startup? I can't answer that so well. But I also know that we are working really hard at Bayer to not go for the 120%. Bayer is a German company, and Germans are known to be very detail-oriented, and they want to have everything 150% right. So it's a constant struggle, I must say, for me at work to be like, 80% is good enough. Let's do it. Let's go on, right? Because there is time pressure, even for the startups. There's always time pressure, and you got to keep going, or you're not going to make it at all. And I don't know how to answer that question, but I think you just have to keep driving, and the people you work with, you need to keep driving them towards those goals, that you're not going for 150%, and if you get 80%, it's probably going to be good enough in a lot of cases. So we work on that every day.
Sure, I just was thinking, I think when I look at this room and the need for collaboration, I think when you see failure and the ability to collaborate with your community, that's where you can start to see the most innovation. And we just excitedly signed an MOU with Maharashtra yesterday, the first connected state, Connected Maharashtra. And I think collaboration regionally, when you have ecosystems and co-located companies, if you work together, you'll be able to absorb failure more and innovate more to push it forward. And I think Caroline left the room, but I wanted to take on her challenge from the branding perspective. So when you think about, I think it was unified innovation ecosystem, I think this room and a connected East Bay is almost as important as your question around failure and how you can succeed through collaboration.
Thanks. Fabrice, you have something to say?
Yeah. I would have a very simple statement. I would say that innovation is mistakes, right? You can't innovate if you don't make mistakes at all, and if you don't fail. So the point here is really to keep trying, keep inventing, and keep pushing, right? So that's what we have been doing, and that's why now, 15 years later, at Amber Kinetics, we have an incredible product that is safe, not using chemicals, which is has no fire risk and so on. So it didn't happen overnight. It happened because a lot of engineers and a lot of innovation came through the whole process.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. So I'm not right. Elton Jelks from the Office of Mayor Lee in Oakland. But I want to ask pretty much the same question I asked a little while ago, and that is, how do we reach more people so that they understand the concept of entrepreneurialism, of startups? What can they do, young people, whether they're at Cal State East Bay, at Berkeley, where my daughter graduated, or at our Peralta Community College system, where we've got some very bright students, or the Oakland Unified School District, similar to Berkeley Unified. How do you reach young people where, as I said, entrepreneurialism is a subject? It's a topic to get to know and to figure out how do you partner with your peers at any level and at least talk about, I think we can do something. I think we can start something up. The garage is not dead. We want our young folks in the garage doing what was done in the past, knowing that you're there. You can maybe mentor, you can guide, you may even have opportunities for them. So it's just too many people maybe not having that opportunity and not being aware of it. And I don't know, it's not so much a question, but maybe you have some thoughts that we could take back, and government's supposed to be working on these things. Yeah, thank you.
But thanks for that question. Is there another question from the audience? Yes.
comment
Oh,
on
you have
it.
a quick
I think
comment,
it's
please, Heike.
it's the same answer I think you've heard before. I think it's working with your youth and your community. There's many ways to do that. Like might sound trite, but like I coach mountain biking. I talk to the kids on the mountain bike team, and I tell them, what the possibilities are that they might be able to study and what they can work in. It's just that contact time with our youth is how we can influence them. And you can do that by like the nonprofits that we heard of earlier, by working with the girls and getting them excited about STEM, or working with Waterside Workshops and getting the kids to fix the bikes. And, of course, like you mentioned, education, right? We want our schools to give them the education. And a lot of these nonprofits are working with the local schools. I know that for a fact, so, yeah.
Hello. Fabrice, thank you for choosing Union City, Gloria Ortega. So from a government perspective, what makes it a challenge for you in your work, and how can city government help you with any of those challenges?
Speed. One way. Like we need a building permit, or I think that's a key thing, just ability to move fast, which in most cases is true, but I think it's super important, right? And just back to the prior question, which is kind of related to that, a culture of hard work. Like why do people why did I jump into startups and give up, every penny I had against the advice of friends and family and start a company? Because there's an encouragement around hard work pays off. And if you take risks and work hard, so that's important. The other is back to education. We're falling behind in math and science. We need to up our game. The whole world is advancing, and we're falling behind in math and science. So we need to improve education so we can have more startup founders, so we can have better startup success. And a big part of that, there's private education, but public education focusing on being tough on math and science, so that more kids love math and science. Like our kids, nonstop, please, you need to love math. And it's super important because there's like a fear of math and science. Somehow over the last, I don't know how many years, kids are scared of math and science. And the world, many places around the world are getting ahead of us. So I think a focus on math and science is super important in school, and continuing to stress that hard work is the way that pays off, which is kind of, by the way, the American way.
I don't know what, yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't want to talk. Somebody else wants to.
I'm working hard.
I think one quick comment. I like your comment on science. I think it's also the trust in science that is, I don't know how to say this, but it's eroding, unfortunately, right? So we need to somehow instill the trust in science again, and again, schools can help with this, right? In our programs, that I think everything I work on, science and the data that we have gives us the answer, right? The other things don't give us the answer, right? We might make up an answer, or we think we have an answer, but in the end, and that's why I love what I do, right? It's like, well, what does the data say, right? And yes, you can manipulate the data in many ways too, I know that. But what does the data say? What does it mean? And then you have the answer, and I think that also will excite some of our youth if they understand that's how they can get the answer. That should get them to want to get the answer. But yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions from okay, we have one there.
Okay, I'm gonna get my steps in today.
Okay.
This is more of a comment, I think. My name is Ben. I work currently with Amber Kinetics. I had a career of 38 years at UC Berkeley doing research and development for electrical engineering, computer science. Several topics that have come up. One of the ideas that resonates with me are unknown expectations. When an investor has a particular expectation, not realizing that possibly knowing that research is time consuming and expensive, when you want to develop your ideas of it's okay to fail and support and develop that idea that you had mentioned earlier. How do you do that? And one of the ways that seems to work, at least in the years that I've seen, is to be able to eliminate the pressure of the funding directly to the person doing the research. And so just my brief experience is basically a little bit of communication, eliminating the unknown expectations, and you get a lot more yield from whatever avenue you're going from.
Thank you for that. Any more questions? Last one I'm taking. Okay, we have one then. Thanks. Oh. Okay.
I'll just come to you in a minute.
Last
please.
2 questions and
There
we
you
gotta
go.
wrap up.
Come on,
Okay.
I'll bring it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my question is, I've appreciated all the talk about diversity. We have people from around the world. I agree this is a great place, including the city of Concord, where I serve as mayor, just through the tunnel. However, yes, thank you. But my question is, right now, there is a lot of challenge, right? I mean, we just saw, highly skilled engineers from South Korea being raided. So my question is, are you concerned about this wonderful, amazing ecosystem getting, destroyed before our eyes? And what can we do? Because I feel like this is under attack, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are. How can we help keep this beautiful ecosystem going? Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We have employees from all over the world, from all backgrounds. Absolutely love diversity. I don't feel it's under attack. I think. Sorry, I mean it's just a matter of opinion. I think the fact that there is part of the government that's enforcing the laws and so on, that's okay. I don't think that necessarily goes against diversity. I don't think the number of H-1 visas, I have not seen it decrease. We're bringing in people from all over the world. So I think we just need to continue doing that and not be fearful because, for example, I don't know exactly the circumstances in Georgia, but I think they did not have the right visas, et cetera, et cetera. There are laws. We stick with the laws, but I don't think being legal goes against diversity. I don't think these are two opposing forces. I think we can increase diversity. I came to this country as a 17-year-old. So I'm an immigrant to America. And I haven't seen a country in the world, and I haven't seen a change that is more welcoming of people from outside than whether it's here or I've lived in Texas and other places that sometimes are maligned. Actually, Texas is one of the most welcoming places in the world for foreigners. So here, there's no place that comes close to the Bay Area, but we sometimes, because we are here, we feel that maybe other places or something that's happening on the other side is kind of against that. But I think if we continue welcoming diversity, I think things will be okay.
Go ahead, Heike.
Just quick comment. I think also Caroline pointed this out. Of course, we try to support the individuals that have maybe a visa concern or these things, and Bayer as a company supports them legally in some cases, right, to extend their visas or work with them on their visas. And we've always done that. We continue to do that. And we haven't, I think like you said, we haven't really seen, I'm not an HR person, so I don't know, but I'm not aware that we have seen an increase in troubles in regards to that. But I do think that is one action we can all take, right? We need to support the individuals that might have issues and support them and help them with getting legal help or support on extending their visas, getting the immigration that they need, because we're the best people to, I think, support them in a lot of cases.
I would just add that your question directly, how can the city government help? And it's that outreach into maybe the corporations to understand how that help is happening through HR and supporting individuals, and maybe that education piece that goes back and forth. And we're all happy to have that conversation. It's a great question.
Yeah, just a quick one is that I fully agree that as long as we stick to the law, I mean, nothing changes. But it's also a question of message, right? And unfortunately, the message that has been given to the world is that there will be some changes. So I've already seen some some relatives or some people I know that were planning to come to the US and finally made as another choice. So I think that maybe we might see some difficulties coming, in some time from now. Not today, I would agree. Yes.
Thanks, Darlene. Always good to see you. I'm Megan Blanton with G3 Partners. We're a boutique agency for investment attraction. So I'm asking a question for, I think, a lot of people in the room who are trying to attract companies like here on stage. You guys have a global footprint, and we want to see that continue to happen, whether continuing on your investments like Bayer in Costa Rica. 43% of med tech devices out of Costa Rica come from the US. Appreciate that. We also have nearshoring colleagues here, Canada. I know Mexico's in the room. My main question is, you guys kind of alluded to this with the tariffs and nearshoring and speeding up your investment decisions. How are you guys actually making these decisions, and what do you need to make these happen? Because we want to help with that. Speeding up permitting is one way to do it, but it seems like, from my perspective, we provide information, we want to make it work, but there's a hesitancy. And so from all of your positions, whether it's software, talent, nearshoring, logistics, manufacturing, what is it you really need to make the decision, and how can we help make those work?
Thank you.
I like to start with that. I'm in charge of operations, right? And so supply chain is very important to me when it comes to make some key decisions. And what we need is clear visibility on what's coming, right? Whatever it is, in order to prepare for the future, right? So as long as as long as the visibility is unclear, it doesn't help us to make decisions, right? So supply chain is a worldwide organization now. It's a global ecosystem. So we are okay to make decision in sourcing our steel in some places or in others, but we cannot have this uncertainty, for example, about the tariffs. If it goes from 10% to 30% to 25% the day after, we need some clarity, and we need some visibility on that.
Thanks. And with that, last remarks, and then we're going to end the panel. Any last remarks, comments?
No, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We're happy.
And that wraps our industry. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Without further ado, I want to introduce Emily. I don't know where this happened. I lost it. Emily Desai, who's a Deputy Director of Government of the GoBiz office in the governor's office. She's going to be the moderator of a panel. We're lucky to have Consul General Rana Sarkar, Consul Martha Kujawa from the German consulate, Kanako Watanabe, also who gets involved in these issues, and Consul General Marco Antonio Mena Rodriguez from my beloved Mexico. And without more than that, I want to just turn it over to Emily, who's going to get us started on the panel. Thank you, Emily, and thank you to the panelists.
Thank you, Ruben, for the Herculean job of bringing everyone back after break, and for the emceeing today. And thanks to the East Bay EDA. We know how much work goes into events like this and how important they are. So thank you for having us and for bringing everyone together in this convening. I'm just going to get it out of the way at the beginning. I'll pile on and say that I am also a UC Berkeley graduate. Go Cal. Also the #1 public policy school for masters, which is where, that's right. We'll just continue to layer it on. So again, my name is Emily Desai. I'm the Chief Deputy Director at the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. So we're an arm of the governor's office. My boss, Dee Dee Myers, is effectively the governor's Secretary of Commerce or Ministry of Economy. She oversees the economic affairs portfolio on behalf of what we never go maybe more than 10 seconds without reminding an audience the fourth largest economy in the world, which is California. So we're the economic development arm of the state of California, and I'm really thrilled to be here with this very, very important panel with representatives and leaders from Mexico, Canada, Japan, and Germany, who for a variety of reasons represent among California's most important international partners, not just in terms of volumes of commercial transaction and trade, but also in terms of the alliances and agreements and partnerships and shared values that we have, and really want to echo some of the comments from the prior speakers about the importance of subnational diplomacy, which is some of the work that our team does in helping to continue that important work with international partners. So the work that our team does, is really helping to connect and promote and deepen trade and commercial ties with our international partners. California's two-way trade, just with the countries represented here, and I shouldn't just say just, because it's nearly $200 billion. That's California with these four countries here with me today. California is a massive international trade state. We're the second largest exporter in the world. More than 26 sectors in California are the top exporters in the country. So a major priority of our office is deepening those trade ties. So both in terms of monitoring and trying these days to stay on top of international trade policy, but also looking just on the day-to-day basis of supporting businesses as they look to enter global markets. The panel before us, those private sector representatives, were maybe a little bit more optimistic to some extent than I was in terms of the impact on tariffs. One of our jobs is helping to try and mitigate all of the risks for exporting. So I would be remiss if I didn't also seize this opportunity in front of all of you to share that one of the fundamental aspects of our office is helping small businesses in particular enter global markets and do so successfully. We'd be glad to talk more after this. We also, in partnership with East Bay EDA and others in this room, do everything we can to roll out the red carpet for foreign businesses looking to grow and expand here in California. The local partnership and engagement with leaders like those at East Bay EDA, who does an exceptional job on the foreign investment side, are really critical for all of us to do that work well. So with all of that to be said, during this time of what I would say pretty pronounced volatility, particularly on the international trade side, but in many other areas as well, California sees this work as incredibly important. The governor has been unequivocal. California wants to be and will be a steady, reliable trade partner, an international ally to our country partners. And that's really why I'm looking forward to this conversation today. And so I want to jump right into it with the experts that are here on the stage with me. So I'm going to start, and maybe we'll start over here and work the way back toward me. If all of you can introduce yourselves, tell a little bit more about your role, your portfolios, and maybe some of the priorities of your consulate or your agency.
So, hello everyone. My name is Kanako Watanabe, Chief Executive Director of the JETRO San Francisco office. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the organizers to having us and giving us this great opportunity for us. And I'm very glad to be here to share our view on the latest relationship, California and Japan. And JETRO, as already Catherine introduced our organization well, JETRO is a government affiliated organization that promotes trade and investment between Japan and the rest of the world. I myself joined JETRO San Francisco office this July, so it's just 2 months ago. Seconded from Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI Japan. I have worked at the Ministry Japan for over 25 years. But most recently, I was mainly engaged in promoting Japan's content industry and intellectual property policy. Going back to JETRO, my latest mission at JETRO is to support Japanese companies for expanding their business in the global market. In North America, we have 6 offices. Among those offices, our San Francisco office focuses on supporting Japanese startups by leveraging the innovation ecosystem of Silicon Valley and the broader Western US region. We also assist US startups in entering the Japanese market and facilitate business partnership between Japanese and American companies. I'm very looking forward to participate in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. First, I would like to thank Stephen Bader for the invitation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this very important event. My name is Marco Mena. I'm the Consul General of Mexico in San Francisco. My last 30 years of professional career have been in the government, working for the federal and state government. My last 2 responsibilities were to have the privilege of being the governor of my state, Tlaxcala, which is one of the 32 states in Mexico, in central Mexico, very close to Mexico City, like 60 miles from Mexico City. And when my tenure concluded, former President López Obrador invited me to be the director of the National Lottery of Mexico. And now I feel very honored for the invitation by Madam President Claudia Sheinbaum to be the General Consul here, the Consul General here. Our consulate provides services for 13 counties and the state of Hawaii, 13 counties in the area Bay and Northern California. And we're responsible for servicing around 1 million people of Mexican origin. Our priority, top priority, the mandate that Madam President Sheinbaum gave to all the Mexican consulates in the US is to be very close to the community and to help them in these very challenging times. Thank you, Emily.
Hi, my name is Rana Sarkar. I'm the Canadian Consul General, and delighted to be with you. And of course, delighted to be with GoBiz as well. And thank you, Emily, for the work that GoBiz does, and of course, Stephen and in the community that you've brought together here, because it's an extraordinary community. I've been here 8 years, and so I'm basically a Bay Area resident at this stage. And through that period, my background is that I came to this as a political appointment on behalf of the Prime Minister in our country to create a different type of relationship with California, of course, the 4th largest economy, but also the largest manufacturing economy in the United States, and one of the largest agricultural economies in the United States. And so the complexity of this ecosystem, particularly and not exclusively as a result of technology, is something which I think many countries around the world are starting to appreciate. The context of the relationships, the context of the teams that that other countries are sending are very different. And certainly with us, we have 2 locations in Northern California. We have our HQ is in the financial district in San Francisco, but we also have an office in Palo Alto as well. And as you can imagine, the character of our work, we run 16 different Canadian technology accelerator programs that bring founders down from Canada to circulate here in the Bay Area, and part of that is just recognizing, the power of the Bay Area ecosystem and the centrality of the Bay Area technology ecosystem to all of the major events of the global economy in this last 8 years. And I always like to tell people this is $8 trillion of market capitalization has been created here in the Bay Area in the last 5 years, which is a world extraordinary event that has a lot of second and third order implications. And the key issue for all of us, and this is all of us around the world, is if this is happening, and this is happening to us, with us, for us, but sometimes it's happening to us. And all of us need to figure out different systems and different ways in which we can work with this extraordinary economic revolution that's taking place around the world right now, but headquartered here. And so there's some special assets, and I've had the opportunity to work with many colleagues around this room, but many companies, many startups, and many founders over the course of the last many years. And I've been doing this sort of thing for about 30 years in various guises, an investor, a founder, but also sort of an ecosystem sort of designer. And so this moment that we're in is this extraordinary moment, and I am, spending all of my waking hours, and our government is deeply engaged in thinking about how we react to this transformative moment. And I'll just tease the answer to that is that talent, openness, the working with subnational governments, working across systems. It's not all going to be done by the federal government, certainly not by federal governments. It's going to be done on many other bases. And, I look forward to having more conversations around this room about that.
Good afternoon. I also want to thank ADA and GoBiz for having me here today. It's a great pleasure and honor being here. I'm not a consul general. I'm Counselor for Economic Affairs at the German Consulate General located in San Francisco. I'm seconded from the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs, and I represent Germany's economic interests across Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. I focus mainly on innovation and digitalization topics, but I also cover all other sectors such as energy, mobility, health, agriculture, you name it. And fortunately, I'm not alone. I work closely together with other German institutions that are located here, such as the German-American Chamber of Commerce or Germany Trade and Invest, German Accelerator, and many others. We support German companies that are interested in these areas, and I also have to thank GoBiz because GoBiz often helps me to make valuable connections, and I'm very grateful for that. Together we open doors on both sides of the Atlantic and build bridges. Thank you very much.
When folks are thinking GoBiz, oftentimes who they're thinking is Maria Honorado, who's here today. And we have a new staff person, David, who's also with Maria. And both of them help handle our foreign direct investment portfolio and do a lot of this great collaboration. So let's talk a little bit about the trade policy dynamic that we find ourselves in and this uncertainty, maybe this time of transformation. Consul General Sarkar, as you noted, which I appreciate. For anyone who wants to maybe pipe in, can you share insights on how businesses you're working with are from your countries are navigating this moment? And what are you hearing? What would you share with us?
Thank you. Yeah, Germany is a major export nation, and the US is one of our most important trading partners. So it's a very difficult situation for us, and we are dealing a lot with this topic. The reactions from the companies I'm dealing with are quite diverse, as we already heard in the previous panel, but there is uncertainty, and uncertainty is never good for business. So at the consulate, we try together with the Chamber of Commerce and Germany Trade and Invest to support German companies to navigate this situation. And our goal is to keep transatlantic economic ties strong and forward-looking. And California's commitment to stay a reliable and stable partner is very much appreciated in Germany.
So we are in a, I mean, we're all friends here, and it's, this is an extraordinary moment. It really is. And, you know, and I'll just say that, you know, I think that from the Canadian perspective, I mean, look, I mean, we have $1 trillion trading relationship that goes back, you know, since the founding of our countries, but has been extraordinarily dynamic. And of course, we're partners with our colleagues here in Mexico through the USMCA, the best deal ever, apparently. And we have 85 to 90% of the trade that is taking place, and there's been between Canada and the United States is covered under the USMCA. And I think that's a terrific deal. And I mean, I say that not just because, you know, I originally turned up here to be part of the Canadian side of that negotiation. And there were difficult aspects of that negotiation, which I think led to a better trade outcome. But we are not in that world right now. And we all have to be prepared. There will be review of that relationship coming up in 2026. And we look forward to a healthy conversation with our U.S. interlocutors and, of course, our partners in Mexico as well to conclude an effective deal. Because we heard the reality is that unless we, you know, do away with business uncertainty, we will not meet the objectives that all of our countries have set out, which is to grow into this moment. And we recognize these multiple things going on in the world, including this extraordinary economic shift that's taking place, geopolitical and geoeconomic shifts that are taking place. But in order to be the benefactor of that, we need to create a platform of certainty. And that platform of certainty starts with a solid North American base. And so we're deeply committed to that. And I say that with no compunctions. We're deeply committed to working with this administration to ensure that we have a healthy conversation about that. We're deeply committed to working with our Mexican colleagues to make sure, because this is a trilateral relationship. It is the most powerful, and I say it's not just because I'm party pre to it, but it is the most successful trade agreement and trade relationship trilaterally that has ever existed. And the results speak for that. And so we're looking to ensure that we can continue with that. And of course, the second part of that is we need to bring in our allies. We need to bring in all of our partners. We're working very closely with Europe and our European partners. We're working closely with our Asian partners, including Japan. And so this has to be triangulated around the world to partners that can work together, that have proven that we can work together over the course of a better part of a century.
In Mexico, we're committed to the success of the USMCA. We believe, as Consul General of Canada just said, that it is the most important trading tool that we have ever had, not only in the region, but as an example of a great success in the trading experiences in the world. And of course, there is uncertainty, but we're not only committed to the success of the USMCA, but also to have fruitful dialogue and interaction, either with the US and of course Canada. It is like if Canada, the US, and Mexico are married in a way. And that marriage is going to be under review next year. And Mexico is not going anywhere. So we need to reach a good deal for all of us. Because we believe that in order to be competitive, we need this alliance. Nor Mexico, nor Canada, and I think that not even the US can be competitive in the world to the extent that all of us desire if we don't make an effort to strengthen North America. And North America is at the top of Mexico's priorities. And Madam President Sheinbaum has already said so. So it is explicitly our objective to reach a very good agreement for North America. It's in the benefit of the three countries because our interaction, our culture, trade, demographics are so interconnected that we have reached a point in which it is irreversible. So it is in the benefit of us to make the most out of this opportunity. So I hope we're going to have a better marriage next year after the review.
No one's moving out.
Watanabe-san, do you want to add anything?
So I feel I don't need to add more comments on that, but as everyone already discussed, it is very difficult situations for all Japanese companies who operating their business in the US and global. And the global trade environment remains uncertain, especially due to fluctuations of latest trade policies. To respond to this uncertain situation, the Japanese government has established over 1,000 consultation points nationwide to support businesses. And JETRO plays a key role in collecting feedback from companies regarding tariff-related concerns. And just yesterday, JETRO released the result of a quick survey on tariff conducted among Japanese companies. And the survey has been conducted in early August, and over 3,000 companies responded. And according to the report, overall concerns about tariff costs remain. There are voices expressing concerns that tariffs will reduce their competitiveness with the US market. However, many respondents indicated that adjustment to this situation is very, very difficult. And it is unclear whether tariff costs can be passed on to price on their goods. In fact, nearly half of the responding companies stated it is unclear whether they can pass on the costs. Some companies are considering expanding their supplier or production locations into other countries, including ASEAN countries and India and North American neighboring countries. The most common request to the government and JETRO is for the prompt sharing of the latest and accurate information to the industries. So it is very difficult situation. And in general, I think there is a strong demand for predictable policies.
Thank you for sharing that, Watanabe-san. It's phenomenal that Attorney General Banta is speaking as the keynote closer for this event, because as some in the room may know, Governor Newsom and Attorney General Bonta enabled California to be the very first state to litigate against the illegality of these tariffs and the mechanisms by which the administration is wielding them. Objective and fact-based data that you're talking about, Watanabe-san, I think is so important in this discussion. So thank you for sharing that. And Consul General Mena, I would just say my 9-year wedding anniversary is next week, so I'll tell my husband I like the idea of being under review. Consul General Sakhar, I want to turn to you. So Canada and California have more than $35 billion in trade, and there's more than 91,000 jobs in California supported by Canadian-owned firms. But one of the things that the Consul General's team helped educate me on was that doesn't even consider the massive institutional investments by Canadian pension funds and others here in California. We often boast about our capital access and activity, but it's the contributions of our foreign investors that help enable that. So Consul General Sakhar, you talked about USMCA and the kind of multilateralism. Do you have guidance or advice on the subnational level? You're looking to deepen partnerships with U.S. states, with trade policy outside the realm of states. How can we as states and local governments and city partners work more with you, be good partners? What guidance or advice do you have in this environment?
It's a terrific question, and I congratulate the California in so many ways in terms of being forward-looking and looking to take on that mantle and interact. And part of that is this recognition that trade is no longer just happening between countries. It's one of the great realizations the last 20 or 30 years has been it happens in value webs. It happens between companies. It happens, services trade, which is now become the preponderance of trade nowadays, but it actually doesn't really get captured in a lot of the trade statistics that we work on. All of the webs of networks that all of your companies have built and the relationships that you're working through around the world, that's how trade actually works. And so for all of us at national governments who represent national governments, we're organizing trade agreements, but it's companies that actually and people that make things happen. And that's the entire benefaction. And so what's really important is for people to speak up and to talk about how trade is really impacting them. And whether that's trade in terms of just not being able to get the right talent in place, or whether it's tariffs, impacts of tariffs, or whether it's the impact of just some other trade friction that you're seeing as a result of the fact that people aren't showing up. Travel is a huge thing. Like Emily, you were mentioning that we're the largest single investor as a country in the United States. And that's because we have $1 trillion pension system that, we have direct investors. We're directly invested in the United States. So we are not just one of the largest customers for the United States, but we're also one of the largest investors in the United States. And, and to go with this marriage analogy, this is a throuple and nobody is moving out. No one can move out. So and we have children together, right? And so this is a complex arrangement that will continue on. And so what I would suggest is be in touch with your federal representatives. Also, work through your trade associations, work through the bodies that you have and really speak up in terms of how it is impacting you. Because ultimately, it's the people that matter and it's the companies that matter. And those voices will eventually, as we work through all of the Strum and Drang, and that was German, by the way, that we're working through, those voices will come through.
Thank you, Consul General. Consul General, I want to ask maybe a similar question to you. $98 billion in trade between California and Mexico. We often refer to our partnership with Mexico almost not just trade, but sort of co-production in some respects. Can you talk about where you also see opportunity, particularly maybe around sectors like semiconductors or biotechnology and where you see the role for the subnational government opportunities?
Yes, Mexico plays a critical role as both a key producer and an essential supplier within regional supply chains of many products. Our economies are very integrated, as I said. Disruptions, such as tariffs, for example, could produce production costs or lead to significant delays in the delivery of essential components. We believe that one must remember the key objectives of the USMCA to precisely reduce barriers to trade and facilitate smoother cross-border transactions. And in the case of California, for Mexico, we have an special interest in the state because we are the number one California export market. Out of the total of California's exports, almost 19% goes to Mexico. And in relationship to this supply chains among the U.S., Canada, Mexico, there is a very complex environment. Because, for example, car making, which is extremely important for the Mexico's economy. In order to have a terminated product, a fully completed product here in the US, the supply chain between the three countries goes back and forth at least 8 times. From Mexico to the US, again to Mexico, from Mexico to Canada to the US, according to the different products. So we need to make an effort to make those processes more efficient because they're very sensitive to the changes that government decisions can produce. So exactly as Consul General of Canada said, it is not only a subject involving the decision-making and interaction of governments. That is the first part. But the real life of our economy is going to be after that. And in the case of the current situation, we believe that our competitive advantages are key to make us make an effort to solve this situation in the best way. Not only because of the economy, because we believe that it's strategic and even national security issue that we must deal with.
Thank you, Consul General. We appreciate that. Marta, I want to turn to you. So $20.6 billion in trade between Germany and California. Germany had elections earlier this year, and the new government is currently setting priorities. Understanding that it's early days, where do you foresee new opportunities? Where do you see industry development going? And what might international engagement look like? And again, I'm just going to layer on that, including for those subnational ties.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, the new German government actually is facing major challenges. Our economy hasn't grown at least since 3 years. That's a big problem. We call it a growth crisis. So one of the first things the new government did was to announce a 500 billion euro investment package to modernize the infrastructure, to invest in digitalization projects and reduce bureaucracy. There's also a shift away from renewables lately to gas as a energy source. And lately, quite early now, but I also see a shift towards to attract foreign investments more again and to deepen international trade. I don't know where it's going to go, but my impression is that the opportunities are in innovation sectors such as AI, quantum computing, or mobility, and I hope that this will lead to new opportunities to deepen our subnational collaborations with California, as we share similar strength. And thank you.
Thank you. Watanabe-san, I'm going to turn to you. It was great hearing earlier about the partnership between JETRO and Berkeley Skydeck. And as probably a lot of us know, Japan is, a world leader in patent generation. I think the most, if the most probably in the world. Where do you see, what are the areas that JETRO is looking to prioritize to capitalize on that entrepreneurialism, to capitalize on, supporting those startups, maybe, partnerships like the one you have with Skydeck, but other things that the folks in this room should know about JETRO's priorities?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. And as I already explained at the beginning, JETRO San Francisco is focusing on the startup policies. And that is because Japanese government is placing strong emphasis on nurturing startups as a driver of future economic growth. In 2022, the government launched a 5-year startup development plan aiming to create 100,000 startups and 100 unicorns by 2027. It's a very ambitious goal because we have only 6 unicorns in 2021. So JETRO supports this goal by helping Japanese startups expand overseas and by inviting Silicon Valley VCs and accelerators to Japan to globalize our domestic ecosystems. So that's why we are having a great strong relationship with Skydeck. Berkeley, and we need we should learn a lot of things from the Silicon Valley ecosystem to grow, nurturing our Japanese startups, I think.
Thank you, Watanabe-san. Consul General Sakar talked about the importance of services exports, and that's something that California tries to focus on because it is so important for our economy, notably education, as folks in this room well know, and also tourism. 1.2 million jobs in California, $157 billion in travel spending with international visitors. So when we are seeing and knowing that tourism is important for all of our economies, we're very glad in California to welcome thousands of visitors here to our state every year from countries around the world. But we know that with recent dynamics, we've seen declines and we've seen hesitancy to come. Can you share, and I would welcome anyone to please jump in here, what you're seeing within your own countries and how can California best communicate that visitors are indeed welcome?
Thank you. And look, it's it'd be trite to say that this is not a very difficult issue. I mean, it's a deeply challenging perception environment right now in many countries as a result of the perception of action here in the United States, and certainly in Canada. We've seen somewhere between a 37% to potentially higher drop off in Canadian tourism. We're the largest tourist market to the United States. We spend the most. We stay the most, and that's a real challenge in many states across this country. And in terms of where the direction of travel goes, look, I mean, as I said earlier, this is a long-term relationship. We didn't get here. We got here as a result of some very particular dynamics. But going forward, I think that the opportunity now is for the travel offer to sort of rejig itself. And to refocus on very particular types of markets, whether those are professional events, whether they're tourism that's very specific of a certain type in terms of maybe some travel or health tourism. So there are a number of sub-opportunities within, in the midst of this change. What I'd also say is that there's a few big events that are upcoming, and I see Miriam here from Silicon Valley and many other consuls general here, by the way, which we should shout out. But we have, of course, the Super Bowl coming up, and which is an enormous event of some interest to some countries, including Canada. But really, we have the World Cup that is happening, and unless the World Cup, if that can be an anchor event to show that San Francisco and Silicon Valley and the East Bay can come together and to really demonstrate as sort of an open door. And I think that, the change has been noted in terms of, that idea of the doom loop has I think been arrested, this sense that, not just the city of San Francisco, but the entire Bay Area is on the way up, has been noted globally. And to make more of that. And, I'm not saying differentiate yourself from the federal government in that sense, but all of these changes at a granular level that you're already demonstrating, get that word out. Because over the longer term, I think that will pay some real dividends.
California is a fantastic tourist destination. It is absolutely one of the most beautiful places in the world. And in relations to my country, many Mexicans come as a tourist. Actually, Mexico sends more visitors to California than any other country. 48% of all Mexicans who travel to the US come to California. Consul General of Canada mentioned the World Cup. Last week, there was a Mexico-Japan soccer game. 30,000 Mexicans came for the game. The World Cup is going to have bigger numbers, and people are going to travel into California, going to arrive in SFO, here in Oakland, and they're going to be traveling to San Jose because they have the stadium. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the area to thrive. And in my opinion, the thing that people must know is that they're going to have a good experience, because they're flying to California, so they have visa, they have passport, they have documents. They want to have a good experience. And in my opinion, that is something important in this issue. I would finish saying that last year, for example, 8.2 million Mexicans visited California and spent over almost $5 billion. So the World Cup is a wonderful opportunity, and I think we must seize the opportunity in the benefit of all.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, I don't have anything to add. California is so stunningly beautiful and incredibly diverse. You have everything, beautiful wine regions, national parks, vibrant cities. California has to offer something for everyone. And yeah, we have also noticed at the German consulate a decline of German visitors to California, but I think clear messaging that California is open, safe, and welcoming will help to bring all the visitors back, because it's such a beautiful place to be, and yeah, you have to come.
Contact Visit California and get you on the board. So one of the most advantageous features for California when we think about our international partnerships is the fact that we have the largest consulate network outside of Washington, D.C. and New York. So thank you to all of you for being here today and for all the work you do in California to help us have such established partnerships and the economic opportunities it brings, the cultural exchanges that it brings, and the partnership. We know in California that diversity is our strength. There's probably no place like the East Bay that better exemplifies that. You can't say thruple on a stage very many places. Birthplace of free speech and free love, right? But we are deeply grateful for the partnership and for your comments today. Thank you, and thanks again to the East Bay EDA. I know we're at time, and folks probably have questions, but hopefully our consuls general will be able to stick around and answer a few. So thank you so much, everyone.